Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Bitcoin update. Today I will be discussing in the first half of this video the similarities, the massive similarities we are seeing to 2019 on Bitcoin and the potential for a 6-month or even 3-month correction to come on Bitcoin based on that. We will then in the second half of this video be discussing the counter argument and the argument that Bitcoin will be going upwards further, which is supported by Bitcoin dominance, supported by Gaussian channel, and also supported by S&P 500, surprisingly enough. Now, look, there's two scenarios here. I understand that, but I do favor one scenario. And at the end of the video, I do give you a clear idea of which scenario I favor. And I also give you a clear opinion on what you should be doing to react to the situation. I am leaning slightly bearish in the market, but I'm not leaning bearish enough to sell all my Bitcoin right now. I do believe we need to be waiting for a support breakdown for that to happen. More on that in the video. Guys, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay guys, before we get into the video, let's take a look at the charts we're going to be discussing in this video. We will firstly be starting out with this macro chart, looking at the macro uptrending pink line, looking at the head and shoulders formation on Bitcoin and overall analyzing what the bearish scenario is. And that bearish scenario, in my opinion, would be that we copy what we did in 2019 and go downwards for an extensive period of time / consolidate before after the halving finally seeing a bull market. Now that's kind of a theory that's become popularized over the last few weeks as we've had downwards. I've been speaking about the potential for this playing out ever since the initial move here in March. And I just want to say that, there are quite a lot of indicators that would suggest that is happening. We'll look into those in a second. But then we want to look into as well, what hope does Bitcoin have of not doing that? Because obviously, yeah, it's fine cyclically if we do this, but ideally we don't want to go downwards for, 6, 7, 8 months. Ideally, we want to continue the upwards trend. And, as, unlikely as that might be, there's certainly a possible scenario in which we can do that. And that's what I'm looking into in this video. I'm looking into Bitcoin dominance. I'm looking into Bitcoin dominance from a shorter term perspective. I'm looking into the weekly chart. I'm looking into the S&P 500 and yield curves posted by Benjamin Cohen as well. So there is certainly a possibility, okay, that Bitcoin can avoid a lengthy correction, and I'll be looking into that possibility today. Guys, check out the VIP group, okay? On VIP, we have the information group right here. We give you multiple trading plans weekly, immediate access to all of the pending trades when you sign up. We give you a VIP group chat where we're discussing the markets. We're discussing trade signals in there constantly, about 200 messages in the last 24 hours. We've got trading tips. We've got exclusive news and market updates in there as well. All of that, a few of those things have been added in the last week. As you can see in this recent post, we've added multiple things in the last week. We have not increased the price, and we've got a 79.12% win rate on trades, which is like 80%. Absolutely excellent. 4 out of every 5 trades reaching profit. So go ahead and check that out. Without further ado, I want to get into the video straight away. We'll start by analyzing what the bearish scenario is. We'll start by analyzing why this scenario has gained traction over the last few weeks. Okay, so first and foremost, we'll zoom in and we'll show you why the medium term and short term are seeing not particularly good price action, right? What we have done, and this is something that we highlighted was happening back here in July before the actual breakdown itself. We highlighted as a possibility for a breakdown. It did see a breakdown. What we've actually formed throughout the entirety of 2023, literally starting at around the 1st of January, which is quite interesting, is a massive head and shoulders pattern, right? We've got the left shoulder over here, the head right here, the right shoulder over here. Yes, the right shoulder extends higher than the head in price terms, but that's not how head and shoulders work. Head and shoulders work from measuring from the neckline to the peak of each shoulder and head, and in that regard, the head is clearly the highest, and therefore it is a valid formation. Now, this is on the logarithmic chart. We broke down from the head and shoulders candlestick formation. We saw a very strong red candle on the breakdown, confirming and validating the fact that it was in fact a breakdown. It was in fact a valid formation. And as of right now, if we're taking a measured move from the top of the head to the neckline and applying it to the breakdown zone, we can see that targets roughly this pink line. What is that pink line? Well, let's zoom back and take a look. This pink line is an uptrending support line that Bitcoin has had for support basically since 2017. Okay, we tested it in 2017, the first, creation of that line, I guess you could say. We tested on 2 occasions in 2019. It marked the bottom. It marked the bottom during COVID. It marked the bottom during our recent bear market in 2022. and right now it's hovering at around that 20,000, 21,000 level. And basically the head and shoulders pattern says we're going to go down and test that. Now, by the time we get there, it could be higher, it could be something like 22K, 23K. It really depends. But the reason I think we're not going to go down below to like 20K regardless, which is where the measured move takes us, is because on logarithmic chart, you have to be very cautious in how seriously you take measured moves, right? Because measured moves are exaggerated on logarithmic. So I'm willing to say that the head and shoulders formation is actually targeting this pink line, not the actual exact target. It was targeting down here at 20K. And that's something that I'm willing to say. As an analyst who's seen breakdowns like this on numerous occasions, I know for a fact that logarithmic chart targets are very, very, not accurate. I mean, for lack of a better word, they're not accurate at all, right? They're exaggerated because obviously the price scale is exaggerated. So how can you take a linear line on a logarithmic chart seriously? You simply cannot. But that's the analysis on a base level. Now, on a more intricate level, and on a level perhaps people haven't fully realized yet, they have certainly come to realize it in the last few weeks. It has popularized, this opinion has been popularized, but I've been speaking about this for basically most of 2023. I believe that there is a decent probability that we are following what we did in 2019. And this is the bear case I've been analyzing for months now, okay? And people who have been on my channel for months can stand by that. I believe that there is a decent chance we're following 2019. We had a rounding bottom, we had 1, 2, 3 distinctive moves, and then we had, after a 3-day chart def cross, okay, a lengthy correction until just before the halving, which is when we started increasing in price. Okay, now obviously the correction was exaggerated with the COVID drop. We can always almost act like this part of the correction wasn't there, and hence we can act like the correction only lasted, okay, between June 2019 and December 2019. So realistically, it's actually a 6-month correction, not the 9-month, 10-month correction that COVID kind of exaggerated it to, right? You have to remember COVID was a black swan event. We can't predict black swan events. We can't expect black swan events to happen again. And if COVID did not occur, the bottom would have actually been over here in December. So realistically, what we're actually in store for, if we're following 2019, would be a 6-month correction. Now, how do we know how do we know there's a chance we're following 2019, I should say? Structurally, it's exactly the same, and time-wise, it's exactly the same. We saw the bottom, it was a rounding bottom. We saw 1, 2, 3 distinctive moves. We saw the 3-day chart def cross right recently, and we've broken down, and now we're going downwards, right? And if we're following 2019, which we have been doing technically, if we continue to follow 2019, we should be seeing, okay, from the peak, okay, 6 months of correction. Now the peak was back here technically. Let's just say it was in July. Okay, realistically it was in June, but let's just say it was in July. Actually, no, let's be realistic, right? It was in June. Okay, then just like in the last cycle, the correction should take us to December, which means we have another 3 or 3.5 months of correction to go if we are following 2019. Now, in 3.5 months, we could very easily, right, come downwards and test this pink line, okay? And we could also, in a bad scenario, go below that. But the point is, right, 3.5 months of correction if we're following 2019. Even if we're following 2019, the point I'm making is it's not really the end of the world. Now, you could say, okay, it's going to last 3.5 months just like 2019. You could also take a more bearish approach and you could say, well, it's going to last until just before the halving, like in 2019. Now, if you take that more bearish approach, and it's very, very difficult to validate which one is actually the more valid opinion, right? Or the more valid scenario. But if you take the more bearish approach, you could say that this is going to last just until before the halving, in which case it lasts until March 2024, in which case we'd have time for a lot more downside move. But overall, what I'm saying here is that yes, there are similarities to 2019. Yes, we are in a bearish formation. But even within this bearish scenario, which is the most bearish scenario we can actually come up with right now, and it has been the most bearish scenario we could come up with for months now, even in this most bearish scenario Bitcoin has, the cyclical theory is still intact. And the reason the cyclical theory is still intact is because we still hold 15.4K in any of these scenarios. And the only thing we need to do in order to hold the cyclical theory is hold 15.4K, because we know for a fact that we do not have a trend for this point in the cycle. We have only seen this point in the cycle on 2 occasions. For example, back here in 2015, 2016, and back here in 2019, 2020, and 2 occasions, of course, mathematically speaking, is not enough to make a data point. So we're not in a good position for Bitcoin right now. We are in a bearish structure, and the bearish scenario is looking more and more likely by the day. But overall, even the bearish scenario is not particularly bad, because it could take us for just a correction for another 3.5 months. It could take us for a correction for another, 5 or 6 months. But even in those scenarios, we wouldn't have broken the cyclical trend. So that's the bear case, okay? So now what I'm going to look into is whether there's hope for Bitcoin avoiding that bear case. Before we do that, I want you guys to check out the BingX exchange. I've got an exclusive promotion with them right now, in addition to my current promotion, and that is basically a spin, a wheel, a lucky draw. If you sign up using my referral link and also the promotion link, right, in the description or pinned comment below, you can get access to this lucky draw. You can spin this wheel by completing a few tasks, spin this wheel and get up to 100 USD in immediate cash reward. This is not like some random bonus reward where you have to do tasks to unlock it. No, you get immediate cash reward. You've got to complete these tasks on the screen here, which you can find by clicking on the link, spin that wheel, get a cash reward. The exchange itself, non-KYC, sign up with just an email address and a password, no linkage of your identity, no country restrictions. It's literally global, so anyone can sign up. Go ahead and do that for a 15% trading fee discount. And then if you want a KYC exchange, you can sign up to the Bitget exchange and sign up from anywhere in the world, except for the United States, except for Canada, and except for Singapore. So anywhere else you can sign up KYC. Again, 15% trading fee discount using my referral link. I've used both of these exchanges in the past. I use Bitget primarily, but I have used BingX. And I do think they're both pretty solid exchanges in terms of trading fees, in terms of security. So go ahead and check them out. Let's get back into the video. I also want to say, sorry, 1 second, that if you KYC with the Bitget exchange, because a lot of you are non-KYC right now, you get a 20 USD reward into your account. That's a promotion from my contact at Bitget. So 20 USD reward for KYCing if you're already on the exchange. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so in order to understand whether Bitcoin has hope or not, we have to understand where Bitcoin is. This is going to be very brief. I've discussed it many times in the past. Basically, we have 3 definitive ranges on Bitcoin that we've performed throughout the entirety of 2022 and 2023. We have the lowest range, which is the peak bear market range, the bottoming range really, between 18K and between 15K. We have the range we spent the vast majority of our time during the bear market, which is the range between 18K and the range between 24.5K. Remember that number, 24.5K. And then we have the range we're currently in, which is kind of like the middle range, right? We're between the bull market zone and the bear market zone. We're in the middle, and that is the range we're currently in, between 24.5K and 32K. So realistically, in order to remain bullish, Bitcoin needs to stay above 24.5K. In order to get super bullish, it needs to break above 32K. That's what we need to be doing. 24.5K, 32K. All of our eyes right now are on 24.5, because if we lose 24.5, what actually happens is we form a downwards trend. Currently, we're still technically an upwards trend. We're still technically seeing higher lows and higher highs, technically, okay? And if we lose 24.5, what we actually do is we break down and we form a downwards trend. Not only do we form a downwards trend with a new low, but we also form a double top formation, which puts us at serious risk of continuing to the downside, and certainly puts us at serious risk of following one of these 2019 scenarios where we go downwards for an extended period of time. So yeah, look, we're not in a good position because we're heading downwards quite rapidly. We're testing the support, but we are still on support. That's worth noting. That's a glimmer of hope. We are still on support. We haven't lost 24.5K yet. And with that said, we can look into other things that are giving us a bit of hope. Firstly, Gaussian channel on the weekly chart. Now, Gaussian channel on the weekly chart is a very important indicator. It has never ever failed. It's extremely accurate, right? And you might be thinking to yourself why YouTubers were so bullish. One of the reasons YouTubers were so bullish was because of this indicator alone. This is a failless indicator. It's got 100% accuracy at this point in time. When we break through the Gaussian channel center line, the center line of the Gaussian channel, when we break through that, we continue in the direction we broke through it extensively. So we broke it through from the upside, we continued massively to the downside, broke it through to the downside, continued massively to the upside. This has happened over and over again on 8 occasions. It's never failed, okay? Continue through, continue through, continue through, continue through, continue through, and right now, we've broken the center line to the upside, all right? But the problem with what we're seeing right now is we've seen a stagnation. We've broken the center line to the upside, all right? We've seen a stagnation in price, and now we're coming back down, and we're risking breaking it to the downside again, in which case that would invalidate the Gaussian channel trend, and in which case that would bring us downwards extensively on Bitcoin. But as of right now, forget the bearish case. As of right now, we're still holding the center line, and hence we're still valid, and we're still seeing what we've seen in the past, which is a break of the center line of the Gaussian channel leads to an upside move, a significant upside move. We haven't seen the significant move yet, right? But as of right now, the trend suggests we will see it. So that's a bullish indicator. That's a sign of hope. We haven't lost the Gaussian channel trend yet, and that is a trend that has never failed on Bitcoin. We also have something on the Bitcoin dominance chart that people don't really look at too often. The Bitcoin dominance chart is an overlooked chart in cryptocurrency, in my opinion. It's actually it's very indicative of what Bitcoin generally does next, right? So Bitcoin dominance, obviously it's a chart that displays the dominance of Bitcoin against altcoins in a percentage format. Currently, the price of the Bitcoin dominance chart is at, not really the price, but I guess you could say the percentage of the Bitcoin dominance chart is at 49.2%, meaning that 49.2% of every single dollar invested in cryptocurrency is in Bitcoin and the rest is in altcoins, right? The other 51.8% is in altcoin, or 50.8% is in altcoins. So that's what the Bitcoin dominance chart is. When this goes up, it displays Bitcoin gaining dominance in the market. When it goes down, it displays altcoins gaining dominance in the market. Now, generally speaking, what we see historically is between the bottom and around the halving, we see, or a bit before the halving, I should say, we see Bitcoin dominance go upwards, right? We see people buying into Bitcoin. We see altcoins losing strength. And that's because when the market is going down, people flock to security, and Bitcoin offers that security. We've seen the same thing now. Bitcoin dominance rising massively. We've managed to break above a major support zone. We're sitting on support right now. And if we zoom in, what we can see, and we compare it to the Bitcoin price action on the daily chart, we can see that Bitcoin dominance actually does give us a good indication of where Bitcoin itself is going to go next. For example, we saw a bullish formation over here in January. It broke to the upside in January 13th. Look at what Bitcoin was doing around that period of time, right? Again, Bitcoin dominance predicted this. Bitcoin dominance had the formation that was predicting a move upwards. In January 13th, Bitcoin started skyrocketing, okay? Same thing happened. I just deleted the chart. Let me go to the daily chart and bring it back up. Same thing happened, okay, over here, as you can see, in around March, right? In the end of March, after forming a bullish formation that wasn't present on Bitcoin for a long period of time, we formed the formation in March 13th. We broke to the upside. Again, March 13th, what was Bitcoin doing? It started breaking to the upside. Same thing over here, okay? Starting in April, but breaking out in June. In June, what did we do? This is what we did in June. We moved upwards a strong leg to the upside. Now, I could go back very far on the Bitcoin dominance chart and show you scenarios in which these moves were predicted on Bitcoin by the Bitcoin dominance chart, but I don't really need to do that. I've already shown you 3 examples. And the fourth one we're seeing right now is kind of like a descending channel formation. We're seeing that descending channel formation. It could take a while to play out, but realistically, we do have support here. And the point is, descending channel formations are generally bullish, and if we are going off TA, we should expect a break to the upside of a descending channel formation, which will more likely than not lead to a break to the upside on Bitcoin. Now, obviously, this is not direct TA, it's indirect TA, so it can't be taken as seriously as direct TA because we're not directly discussing the Bitcoin chart. We're discussing charts that are related to Bitcoin, like Bitcoin dominance. But that is a factor that could lead to Bitcoin seeing a resurgence in price action, could lead to Bitcoin seeing a move upwards. The problem with descending channels, though, is descending channels can play out for long periods of time. We can be in this channel for months and months on end. We could probably be in this channel until October, November if Bitcoin, saw low volatility or something like that. So it's hard to say exactly when we will see the breakout, and it's also hard to say exactly how high Bitcoin will go based on a breakout of Bitcoin dominance, because the moves themselves, yes, they've been directional, but they haven't been very good at predicting the actual percentage move on Bitcoin itself. But realistically, we are in a bullish formation on Bitcoin dominance. That is bullish for Bitcoin itself. If we break the formation of a downside, that will invalidate all of this, but it is worth noting that we are a major support for Bitcoin. We haven't broken 24.5k yet. We do have a Gaussian channel trend on Bitcoin that hasn't been broken yet. We do have a Bitcoin dominance trend with market patterns that does suggest Bitcoin will go upwards. And we also know, okay, that I'm not trying to make people overly bullish, because I'm not overly bullish at all, actually. I'm actually quite pessimistic on the market right now, but I'm just giving you the scenarios, because there are always 2 scenarios, right? And I don't think that the bearish case is 100% guaranteed to play out. That's very, very rarely the case where I take a very strong stance, right? Because it's not really ever justified. I'm a breakout trader, you got to remember that. But one thing also I want to look at is the S&P 500, and you might think, oh, the S&P must be bearish for Bitcoin. I'm not entirely convinced that it is at this point. And that's because, yes, we have broken an ascending wedge to the downside. Yes, we are at resistance. Yes, we've gone downwards, but we've also seen quite a strong couple of bullish candles here on the weekly. And we also have the knowledge that it's not really when yield curves invert, as per what Benjamin Cohen says here. It's not really when yield curves convert that S&P starts to go down. Otherwise, we would have started to see the S&P go downwards massively, right, in September, October last year, which is when they inverted. It's when they uninvert. So when they uninvert, that's when we see the vast majority of the downside price action on the S&P. And as of right now, we're heading towards an inversion, but we're months away from it. And so realistically, the S&P could go higher. It does stand to reason the S&P could go higher. And if it does go higher, obviously, I don't know what the Bitcoin S&P correlation is right now. It's been very low in the past, but it certainly wouldn't be bad for Bitcoin, and so that adds to the bull case as well. So yeah, look, I think the bearish scenarios are very justified at this point in time. I think we've broken down from head and shoulders, that's for sure. We've seen bearish monthly candle closes, as explained yesterday. The weekly candle doesn't look good on Bitcoin either. And I think it is a very, likely possibility that we follow something like what we did in 2019. But I don't think it's locked in. I don't think it's certain. I certainly think that Bitcoin has a chance of reversing. And I think based on major support zone at 24.5K that has not been lost yet, the fact that we haven't seen a divulsion into a downwards trend yet, the fact that Bitcoin dominance is looking okay, the fact that the Gaussian channel trend is still intact, I think that there are relevant indicators to not just jump into 100x shorts, right? I'm not necessarily saying that this is a place I'd be buying, but I am saying this is not really a place that I'd be selling quite yet. I'd be waiting until the actual breakdown of 24.5K before selling. And I hope that makes sense. I hope that last little sentence I said there gives you clarity on my opinion on Bitcoin. I'm not overly bullish at all. I'm not bullish, actually. I'm probably leaning slightly bearish, but I do understand that the bullish scenario is not non-existent. The bullish case is not non-existent. I also am a breakout trader, and I don't make major financial decisions while you're on major support. And that's where we are right now. We're on major support. Until we break 24.5K, I will not be saying openly that I am ultra bearish on Bitcoin, because I simply am not. But I do understand, as I have understood for long periods of time now, for months now, since March, for 6 months, that 2019 is a possibility. And I also think that even in that 2019 possibility, where we do go downwards for months on end, I don't think that it's the end of the world cyclically. So I think that overall, on a macro scale, Bitcoin's actually in a good position. And that's been my opinion for a long time, and that will continue to be my opinion until I see relevant data to suggest otherwise. But yeah, guys, that's the video. I hope I gave you a good insight on Bitcoin there. And I want you to finally go ahead and check out the Crypto Academy. The Crypto Academy's Become a Trader 10-unit course will teach you everything you need to know about trading, or basically 95% of the things you need to know about trading, right? Using indicators, market patterns, candlestick formations, introduction to market psychology, basically an introduction to concepts as well. If you don't understand what concepts are, like, what is a pattern, what is a financial market, how does it work, what is Bitcoin, how is it mined, that kind of stuff will be explained as well. But overall, that's all in Unit 1. This is the TA course, and we'll teach you how to analyze charts and find trades and trade them, etc., trading strategies, everything you really need to know about that. Check out the course, and you can email us here at cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com, but the website link is in the description below, and you can check out the website and read more in depthly as to what it is about. So check that out. Check out VIP, check out BingX exchange promotion, Bitget promotion, all that kind of thing. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.